Yay! We are back. We are live. Thank you so much for joining us. It is another episode of Voxsana, the show about voice. So I say calling all voice nerds, myself included. I love finding out more about voice, more about how it's interconnected, more about how the different ways you can use your voice, whether it's a TED Talk, wink, a audiobook, recording artist, motivational speaker, just in day-to-day conversations. It's pretty exciting, and it's all connected, as I said before. So today I'm so thrilled. This is my very first TEDx talk guest, and I'm going to tell you a bit about him, bring him on as per usual, the usual format, and we will, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. I'm always able to see them, and I will ask them. So if you're just more comfortable sitting there watching, fine too. That's cool. Okay, so I have a spiel to read you, and then we'll bring on Jared. So, ever wonder if your values are truly woven into the fabric of your daily life? I know I do. In this episode, we'll dive deep into the world of values, those guiding principles that shape who we are, with TEDx presenter Jared Throneberry, and explore how they play out in the hustle bustle of our daily routines. Jared is a dynamic thinker, tester, and talker. He's fabulous. You've got to check out his website. From dissecting ideas in captivating blog posts on fatherhood and foster care to seamlessly embracing roles in quality assurance and business analysis. As speech writing enthusiast, Jared extends his expertise through workshops and keynotes for nonprofits, youth groups, churches, civic organizations, and businesses. And ranked as a semi-finalist in the 2014 World Championship of Public Speaking, and more recently was a speaker at the inaugural TEDxOldHickory event. So we're going to talk to him about all that stuff. Come on in, Jared. Hello.
Hello, Jill. Thank you. Thanks for having
Oh,
me.
oh, it's my pleasure. I've been dying to have you on ever since we talked for a
Yeah.
Toastmasters article a couple months back, or maybe a month back.
Right.
So welcome, welcome, welcome. I
And
promise
kudos
I'm
to
not.
saying Throneberry correctly. I
I
appreciate
did,
that.
eh? There
I
you
appreciate
go. You
that.
know, I angsted about that a little bit. I was like, I don't want to say it wrong.
Right.
So I creeped on YouTube and found someone saying it. So that's what I
Oh,
do.
excellent.
Uh-huh.
Right.
But
Yeah,
that's how I was going to say it anyway. It's pretty,
it's
it's
phonetically
obvious.
spelled. It's just people get it wrong.
Yes.
I don't know why.
But we make it fancy. We don't need to.
Right.
Throneberry. There it is. Done.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the best last name I've ever heard of, by the way. So just own that. It's
I
very, very
like it.
unique. Yes, of course you do. So welcome to the show. I'm so, so, so thrilled. And where I want to start is usually the biggest, longest question first is TEDx. You made it. And I'm just wondering, childhood Jared. This is always my traditional first question is like, was this the big dream to be a speaker? Or take me through a little bit about
Uh,
how this journey kind of came about. And I know, big question.
yeah.
Let's go there.
No, not at
Mhm.
all. This was not a Jared thing. Jared didn't know what he wanted to do. He was a lost little kid who didn't have a,
Oh,
a, a thing to claim. I
wow.
pride myself on being a jack of all trades,
Nice.
master of none. Master of none is the
Oh,
rest of
oh.
the phrase of that, right? So
Mhm.
jack of all trades sounds like a great thing, but like, what's my thing? What's that one thing that really sticks out? And
Yeah.
I never, I don't know. I don't know what it was going to be. I didn't know what it was supposed to be. I was a
Mhm.
junior in college before I decided on a major. And
Oh,
uh,
wow.
I mean, it could have been anything. I was thinking accounting, psychology, music, and so I ended up on marketing just because I thought you could market for any of those things.
So
So
smart.
so that was
Yes.
the easy out for for what I could do, and then didn't really
Amazing.
do marketing after that. So yeah, public speaking, I was a willing participant at times, when I'd
Mhm.
get an opportunity, maybe for a 4-H club or school or something along those lines. I did have one public speaking course. I got a C in college, and that's because I completely missed my final. I slept right through it, and he was serious about not having any makeup for it either. So
So you would have been an A plus. Let's just say.
I'm hopefully,
Yeah.
maybe, but yeah.
I
Straight up
love
missed it, the whole thing. So it wasn't until I got into Toastmasters that I, uh, found an interest in public speaking, and I did that just for
cool.
the social aspect. I just wanted to get involved at the company I was in,
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, so it had nothing to do with, like, wanting to be a better public speaker. I was just participating, and,
Wow.
they were very encouraging and very, telling like, "Oh, you're just a natural at this,"
You are, you have a great voice.
and they would voluntarily put me or voluntold me, to put me into contest and representative and leadership positions and things like that. And after a while, it just I am pretty good at this. I do like this. And I like the
Wow.
creative side of it too. I love speech writing. I love
Mm.
when an idea really comes together. I love when a hook
Oh,
comes together.
yes.
Oh, I
Oh,
love
so
a good
good.
hook. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So that I mean, that drives me. That's the part that really, really sends it out for me. So it wasn't until I progressed through Toastmasters for a while
Mhm.
that TEDx became a thing that I
This
would
is so neat. So it was the reflection of those around you that kind of pointed you towards this bigger goal that you didn't even know you had. Now looking back with some hindsight, can you see that there was a draw to this kind of thing, or was it completely it caught you off guard?
I no, I don't think it was really there. I
Awesome.
would, and, I like I said, I would get up. I'm not I'm a little bit I'm pretty introverted in general, but I'm always willing to do
Mhm.
things. Like, if you wanted me to do something, I'm a yes. That was actually my very first contest speech
Oh,
was yes man. I was a
I
yes man. I will say
love
yes to
that.
anything that anybody tells me to do. I lost. I lost that one.
That was not oh, okay.
Right.
Got it.
But yeah, it was not something that I inspired, like, it just wasn't in my purview, in my future. I didn't think about it. Uh,
Wow.
and then it just the more I was exposed to it and the more encouragement I got, the more that dream built. I'm not much of a dreamer, and this has become something I'm passionate about.
Wow, wow, and, that passion resonates through every conversation I've ever had with you, plus all your videos, so, I think the dreamer is there. He dreams big,
Yeah.
and welcome to the stage. I love this. I love this so much. You mentioned music. Are you a
Mm.
singer?
I sing a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you
My
do.
wife and I met in a chorus at college, and
Cute.
I was a she gets mad because she says she started dating a bass and she married a tenor, and that's because I would just get bored with the bass parts, and I
Yeah,
kept working my way up through into to tenor, and I'm not really a tenor, but yeah, so
that's awesome. That is awesome, and so I'm a big, advocate for singing and speaking. Like, the 2 of them help the other like, they each help the other. If you work on your
mhm.
singing, you're actually working your speaking and vice versa. Any thoughts on that? Have you noticed that correlation, or are they quite separate for you?
No, I think they're very similar. Ironically, the speech that I missed because I overslept, I was gonna do it over music. I was going to bring my guitar in and talk about why music affects you the way it does, and show an example of a major chord and a minor chord, and
Neat.
why eerie music in a movie, if you strip that out, it would be the most boring movie ever, but it's because, those kinds
Yep,
of ideas. But in so I do presentations about giving presentations. So I do
that's cool.
speeches or workshops on communication skills and public speaking skills. And one of the avenues, of course, or sections that we talk about is vocal variety. And
Mhm.
speaking is a performance, like it really is. People, I don't know if people catch on to that there's an element of acting that goes into
Uh-huh.
presenting a speech, because this is something you've practiced and rehearsed, hopefully, many,
Yeah,
many times, and it can get a bit mundane or routine for you if you're not careful. So in
yeah.
a way, you almost have to put on a show to show people how excited you are about
Yes,
this thing you're talking about. So there's a little bit of acting to it, but in the vocal variety, it's got to sing. I mean, if you're excited
nice.
and it needs to go up, then you need to bring your voice to it. And if it's serious, you got to bring it down
Look at you go.
and make
Mm,
it
love
more
it.
serious. So
Yeah, you do.
there is singing that goes into a speech for sure.
I love this. My my internal nerd wants to know if you have a vocal warm up that you do before you do big gigs.
I do, and it's usually the low note because I try to, I wanna resonate a little bit,
Mhm.
and the one that sticks with me, and I hate that it sticks with me, but it was somebody else's idea, and I can't remember his name right now, but he did a presentation for us, and he said, I forget what the character is, but from The Wizard of Oz, the evil army that
Oh,
comes
yeah.
in, "Oh, wee, oh,
Yes.
oh," and so that's what I go to. I don't want
That's
to
a good
go to
one.
it, but it's the quickest thing that comes to mind, so if I'm driving somewhere, I'll just, "Oh, wee, oh."
Love that. I love that one. I love real-time examples like that. My other favorite one is, Billy Joel, Uptown Girl.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
that's a good
it's
one.
so fun. It's
Yeah,
so
'cause
fun.
yeah, okay.
Yes.
Alright, I'll have to think about that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm loving that so very much. We will get to the TED Talk soon because I'm so thrilled to talk about that with you.
Mhm.
And I want to talk about Toastmasters for a bit because you were a world champion in there. So tell me what you gained from that experience and tell me about, because you mentioned some losses in there too. So
Yeah.
the resilience of that journey.
Oh, definitely,
Mhm.
100% there was some resilience there because I coulda given up a long time ago. I've been in Toastmasters since 2007, so this
Yeah.
has been a long journey for me, and
Mhm.
I started competing a year or 2 into it, not very long
Mhm.
after I started, and they I think they threw me under the bus the first time, just to see, and Toastmasters is organized club. There's clubs all over the world. It's an international organization. Hundreds of
Mhm.
thousands of people are part of this,
Mhm.
and so there's clubs, and then there's an area of 4 or 5 clubs, and then there's a district, or sorry, a division of areas. So like a county, couple counties, and then a district, which is kind of like a state level, maybe. And then there's regions, which is like time zones almost, and then the international, something like that.
Got it.
So all I ever participated in was the district contest. There's the state, so almost like the state of Tennessee's contest, and that's what I wanted. I like it was that was the shiny gold, award that I would see, and I wanted to do that. And so I participated at the club level and I lost that one. And then the
Mhm.
next year I won and I made it to the area level and I lost that one. And that one's the one that bothered me because I felt like the other guy just like he just came up with something on the spot and just went with it. And for whatever
Oh.
reason he won. And I thought I had a good speech. I thought I did a good job. And so that
Mhm.
drove the student in me to figure out what it was that I was missing. That I
Mm.
something I was doing wasn't communicating effectively with the audience. And
Mhm.
so I really became a student in and appreciated evaluation and feedback for myself. And that is not something that I like. Do not evaluate me in any other area of my life.
Okay, I won't.
I mean, I don't care what it is that you do. Like,
Um,
I mean, you can't see it, but the wall that I painted behind me has. It's not entirely smooth where I put the seam in, and I know
oh.
it, and I see it, and I hate it, and it
It
bothers me.
irks you?
And if somebody points that out, it's going to destroy me. But when it comes to speaking, I
Where the
love it.
scene.
I love it.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
want to know how I can get better. And so the
Mhm.
next year I won area and then I lost division. And the next year I won division and I made it to district and I forgot where I was and it was 10 seconds of silence and I
Oh,
lost. I didn't even place that speech, but man, it was a good speech.
oh, no.
I really thought I had a good thing going that year. And that was the year that a world champion, Darren LaCroix, came to be our conference speaker
Oh,
at that
wow.
contest.
Mhm.
I was really disappointed, and he had said before that, "Anytime you speak, ask for feedback. Anytime." He's all about stage time. He's all about feedback. And
Uh-huh.
so I called him in the hallway, and I was like, "You said ask for feedback. Give me feedback." And he
Mhm.
pulled out a piece of paper, and he had diagrammed 6 sections on a paper, and wrote notes for all the 6 speakers on it. And
Oh,
there was just words and phrases and things circled all over the paper. And in my section, it said stuck. And that was all he said.
stuck.
Stuck. I got stuck. I froze in the middle of my speech. And that's why I
Oh,
lost.
oh,
And
come
he was
on.
like, "You had a great speech, you had a great
Dang.
message, you moved like everything about it was excellent, but you're too stuck in your own head,
Shoot.
and you need to forget yourself and think about the message that you wanna give to the audience, and you won't get stuck so much." And
Wow.
that was the biggest encouraging failure that I've ever had. And it was for the world champion to tell me how
Whoa.
good my speech was. And so, yeah, and so then
Vindicated.
the next year I came back again because I can't let that one go, and I came in 2nd place, because there was another guy who
I
swooped
thought you were
in.
gonna say you won because this is
Right?
the same pattern. It's like I failed, I won. I
It
failed,
was
I won.
I
Not even failed, but didn't win.
some guy swooped in, and nobody had heard of him before. He won all the contests, and nobody heard from him ever again.
Son of a gun.
So,
Yay for him though. Yay.
but I beat the guy who had been winning before that,
So you
and
would have won.
so I would have won, and then I came back the next year and I won that year. So
Of course you
that
did.
was it. And then I made it to the semifinals, which happened to be in Malaysia that year. So I got a trip to
That's
Malaysia out of it. That
awesome.
was wonderful.
Awesome.
Uh, so I was in the top 80 speakers at least
Mhm.
in the entire world that was participating in the championship of public speaking,
Wow.
and I didn't make it to the finals, but I did very, very well. I got lots of compliments, and it was a great experience. And that kind of like
Yeah.
that's as much as I wanted to do. And I
Yeah.
didn't want to keep trying to inch up that top final ladder. There are people out there who you see in the top 10, every year because they're just trying to keep going. And
Mhm.
I don't know if I wanted to spin my tires that much. I wanted to break out and see what else I could do.
See
That's
what
where
else is
TEDx
there.
came from.
Okay, wow, you were a pro. Because look at that segue. Before we do that though, I wanna talk to you about how you got unstuck, because I think that there's some nuggets in there about the word "stuck," and what did you do between that year and the next year to just kill it?
Yeah, yeah. So having a message is always big and big to me. I've
Mhm,
skipped competing in years because I just didn't have anything
mhm,
I had to say, and it
mhm,
just like to come up with something and just not mean it. I don't know. It doesn't put a fire under me. So
mhm,
that I have not participated just because I didn't have anything to say. So having something to say was a big deal. I believe I changed how I wrote my speeches and practiced them. And
mm.
so I don't know if other people do it this way or not, but the words sometimes just come out and I'll just, run, get them down as much as I could. Sometimes it's in the car and I'm doing like
It's
speech to
always
text
in the
on
car
the
or the
right
shower.
in the
It's
shower.
always the car, the shower, on a walk. It's like, "Son,
Right.
come on."
So speech to text is very useful. And so I'll just get the words out, and sometimes an idea and then sometimes another idea and put it together and rearrange it on the paper. But then I'll try to practice the speech without looking at what I've written and
Mhm,
see how it comes out. And sometimes the way I say it when it just comes out naturally is different than how I would type it when I'm just in my own head.
got it.
And, so I've practiced doing that and see how that feels, and then rewrite the speech just to kind of, like, remember what it was I said
Mhm,
or did, and that has made giving a speech way easier for me, just
mm.
because it's just so much more natural. It's how I would say something.
Ah, I see. So you tapped into how you would naturally,
Mhm.
communicate that message, and then it just came out more naturally in the presentations stage.
Right,
Okay. Okay,
right.
okay. 'Cause I know a lot of people, they have great messages, but they get stuck in their head, or they freeze, or it feels very I found this interesting. If it sounds over rehearsed, it's actually under rehearsed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah,
Right?
that's a big truth to that,
That
because
blew my mind too.
yeah, because if you're not if it sounds rehearsed, then y we
Yes.
did this last week. I'm doing this, mentorship program, through our Toastmasters club, and I had somebody give an example. I said, please read that sentence on the page in front of you, and he
Mhm.
goes down, and just like a kid reads a sentence, he goes, the thing about speaking is that it is the best thing that you can, and
Mm.
that's how you read something.
Yeah.
And if that's how somebody sounds when they're giving a speech, it's because they're reading it in their head. They
Wow.
haven't rehearsed it, so it's just a part
Mhm.
of the message they want to share. They're just
Mhm.
reading words from memory. So yeah,
Mm.
that's rehearsed and memorized, but it's not a speech that you can just give.
Wow. That's awesome information because you have to internalize it and become it, if you will. I know that's very
Yeah.
huge idea, but I think that's the secret. Same with singing. If you're too in your head about your vocal technique, it shows and it's not memorable. It doesn't move the audience as much as when you just let go. And even if you mess up,
Mhm.
technically, quote unquote, it still moves the audience more because you are connected and so
Mhm.
they're connected. So
Oh,
this is just fascinating. I love this stuff.
yeah, I love
So
a singer
yeah,
that's just it just flows naturally. It's
right.
just a part of who they are, and
Mhm.
it's close, but it's not 100% the same that it was on the recording, and that's just because they're just singing.
Right. They're just
They're
in
not
it.
rehearsing, yeah, they're not redoing what have heard before. It's
Oh,
just a
so
part of it.
good.
Yeah.
You have a really interesting story about your TEDx opportunity.
Mm.
And one of the things you told me was that, to others outside of the process that didn't hear the story, the lead up to this moment, it might seem like it just dropped in your lap and it was just
Yes.
some form of luck. Can you talk about that?
Right. Yeah, yeah. Is it so some people, like, and they wanna do what I did, and,
Mhm.
how did you look up on getting on a TEDx stage, or, what did you do, to make it happen, or who did you know? There's gotta be some kind of, like, secret passageway or some repeatable steps that they can do, to make it happen, and it's a combination of luck
Mhm.
and preparation and practice. I heard an actor just the other day doing an interview, maybe Bryan Cranston, that sounds
Oh,
right,
cool. Yeah.
who said the same thing. He was like, If anyone in Hollywood tells you that there wasn't an element of luck to their story, they're lying. There has to be. Like, there's just too many people who want the same thing
Yeah.
for that
Mhm.
one opportunity to not luck up on you somehow.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I've had TEDx on my radar for a while, probably since 2014,
Mhm.
and I've applied a couple places, but not really in my, general geographic area. I don't know what my ideas were that I submitted. I was just trying to get it. I was just trying to get
Yeah.
on the stage.
Yeah.
The one that's in Nashville every year is their platform's a little bigger. They very well known names, very high professors because it's like Vanderbilt, so like way up there.
Were
And
you saying that, like, Bill Gates was one of the speakers there?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
Al Gore
huge and
has
big
been,
famous singers,
yeah, yeah,
r
because
right?
they like to incorporate music because it's Nashville, so
Of
there's
course.
often famous singers that will participate. But part of my thing, like what I really love to speak on a lot is volunteering. Like, I mean, that was the title of my speech, was putting your values into action.
Mhm.
And so, but that's something I do. I'm very passionate about it. Many different aspects of my life. So one of the things was being involved in the neighborhood in the Chamber of Commerce, and I actually moved out of the area that the Chamber of Commerce is in, and I was still on the chamber for a couple years just because I I
'Cause
have
you
a hard time saying no, right? We talked
of
about
course.
that.
Yeah.
So I'm still on there, like some of the admin stuff, just in case they need help, like the Facebook socials, things like that.
Wow.
And one day, here comes a message that says, "Hi, I'm Amanda, and I'm putting together a TEDx event for Old Hickory." That's where we were, town of Nate Bargatze. If you have heard him mention Old Hickory before,
Mm.
and it just, and I'm the admin for the page, and she just wanted to say, "Hey, Chamber of Commerce, is there anything that we can do to help make this event successful?" And I'm just
What
like
just happened?
blown away that in my inbox is a personal invitation and like a first person to know about it,
Oh my gosh.
invitation to a TEDx in my backyard.
It
And
pays to be a yes man. Look at
yeah,
this.
right?
Come on. You don't even live there anymore,
I
really. You moved
know, I know.
away.
I mean,
You're
I'm
such
like,
a nice
it's like
person.
5, 10 minutes away, but it's not, but still. And yeah, it just landed. And so I gave her everything, that I could do to help, but I made it clear I would like to apply to be a speaker. So I don't want to be involved in the committee or the
Curation, yeah.
decision making.
Yeah.
And so I put my request through the same way anybody else would put their request through, and the committee decided on who they wanted. So I still, there was still effort and talent involved. It wasn't just luck, but
Yeah.
fortunately, it came to me.
And this was a place you were familiar with, auditioning for things and putting yourself out there on stage. So, was there any new challenges or nerves preparing for a TEDx
Right.
audition?
Yeah, the audition, not necessarily,
Mhm.
because the first round was just putting it on paper and saying, "This is the idea I want to share."
Got it.
For us, and I don't know if they do this everywhere, but for us, they had a round two where they said, submit a 3-minute video of your idea, of you telling your idea, and we're
Mm.
going to base our decision off of that. I think other places actually do an in-person
Yes, they do.
audition,
Mhm.
and so this one didn't. So you never know what that's going to be. So I did it the same way, and practice plays into it because I have a few YouTube videos. People do it all the time now that there's like TikTok, and you just put the phone in your face and you start talking.
Right.
But I tried to do some like polished videos for YouTube during COVID. Like, what else are you going to
Mhm.
do? And so I had done that a few times of having a 3 to 4 minute something to say in front of a camera and seeing how that comes across. So that
Mhm.
worked in my favor too.
Excellent, excellent. It's so fabulous, and congrats on that TED Talk because it's awesome. It's awesome, and I'm not just saying that to be nice. It really resonated with me, and I want to actually spend the last half hour talking about values because
Okay.
I think this is the maybe not the whole half hour, but a lot of the time because I think this is the block for a lot of people. But before that, I just really want to see how you solidified your message. You did say that
Mm.
volunteering was totally in your bones, it's part of your DNA. But what advice would you give others that are looking to apply to TEDx to find that golden nugget, that message? What can you share with them?
Right. Yeah. So that is the thing about TED Talks is the
Mm,
idea that is TED,
mhm,
right? Ideas worth sharing,
mhm,
and I think people forget that people who have big eyes for the TED stage and wanting to get that under their belt as a TEDx speaker maybe forget and maybe just see the opportunity as what it is that they want, and maybe forgetting that the point of it is to
mhm,
share an idea. And
mhm.
that's why, and so you'll see some of the not best speakers on stage because they have an idea that's
Right.
worth sharing. And so that would be the thing I would recommend the most, is to make
Mhm.
sure that you have an idea that's worth sharing. It is, to use their phrase over and over again.
Yeah.
But uh, whatever it may be, because it's not always limited in the topic. Like, all the
Mhm,
events will have a theme usually, and so
mhm,
they may be looking for something in particular around the theme. But for you to have something that you just have to say, some
mm.
idea or way of doing things, or something, a hook or something different that is yours and came out from your point of view, from your mind, that's what you should pursue, and pursue it possibly on a TEDx stage.
Mhm, mhm. So for those folks who have not yet watched your TED Talk, which I highly suggest, how can you summarize it in a few words for them about what it is about? What's your idea worth spreading?
My idea is that I see people living their lives on autopilot,
Mhm.
and it's good enough, and it's fine. One of my favorite, to jump over, Michael Jr., he is a comedian, and he has one of my favorite TEDx speeches
Oh,
that
seen that.
I've ever heard, and because it's got a hook in it.
Ah.
Most of it is just he's a stand-up comedian, so most of it is just like stand-up stuff. It's just talking about, jokes or but he builds up to it. And I'm going to give it away. I hate to give it away,
It's okay. It's
but
okay.
I'm going to do it anyway because it's point of what I'm story what I'm talking about. He begins the whole thing with a speech and he starts or with a joke and he starts to tell the joke and he interrupts himself and he says, forget that, over here. And then he tells another story and he just continues on with his speech and he never gives the punchline to that joke. He goes on for another. Now, is anybody in the crowd still wondering what was the end of the story of that first joke I told?
Everyone.
And everybody's like, yes, what was it? He was like, we allowed ourselves to be entertained and we forgot that something was missing. And I
Mm.
think that's how we live our lives is we allow ourselves to be busy and occupied and entertained, and we forget that there's something missing. There's
Wow.
something more to
Mhm.
life than just doing the next thing and
Mhm.
just making the calendar happen, but
Wow.
to be intentional with our lives and
Mhm.
have something worthy of living for, something to do, something that makes a difference in the end, or
Mhm.
while you're living. And
Mm.
that's the message I wanted to put out there.
It's so important and so timely right now, especially after the pandemic when we all were sequestered at home going, "Oh, what are we doing with our lives?"
Right.
Right? We're all thinking about this stuff now. And one of the things that I come up against a lot as, someone that coaches other speakers and singers is that they so badly want to sing or practice their speaking, but they won't allow it in the calendar. It's like something comes along that seems more quote unquote important, whether it's work or chores
Mhm.
or needs of others that maybe could wait, but somehow they trump the very deserved, very wanted practice time that they want to give themselves. And I
Yeah.
wonder if you can speak to that and what pieces of advice you might share with them on how to kind of redirect and realign with those inner values.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's exactly what it was I was talking about. There's things that we
Mhm.
want to do in our lives,
Hmm.
and we just don't do them because life gets in the way, because stuff
Mhm.
happens.
Mhm.
And so there's the process that I spill out in my speech is first you have to recognize what it is that you want.
Right.
You there are probably things that you value that you want to do that you want to have happen in your life and you just don't think about them or
Mhm.
you've forgotten them or you do think about them and you have a guilt trip that lives in the back of your head on a
Yes.
daily basis. It never happens. So like it takes effort. So you actually have to put in effort to think about those things that you want your life to be about.
Mhm.
So if last year just like was nothing and there was nothing to it that really like excited you or made you feel good, and make next year different. But you have to be
Mhm.
intentional. So write down your values, like figure out what it is that is most important to you on paper. They
Mhm.
say that about goals, that one of the biggest
Yes.
ways to accomplish a goal or a New Year's resolution is to write it down. And
Yes.
that's one of the biggest encouragers to completing a goal or to do a resolution is to just write it down and tell somebody about it. So
Yes.
so yeah, writing it down is the biggest first step. And then prioritizing. So is this more important to you than scrolling on social media? Is this more
Mm.
important to you than, wasting time or, more, an extra hour of sleep that you really didn't want in the morning because you were just trying to get more sleep and now you feel worse because you went back and got more sleep, and it that
Mhm.
happens to me every morning. Uh, I'm not an early riser.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, prioritize them and see like, no, this is more important. I do want this in my life. And then strategize a way
Mhm.
to actually make it happen. Put it
Mhm.
on a calendar, meet up with somebody, tell somebody about it, have somebody remind you or ask you about it later.
Mhm.
Or yeah, just straight up put it on your calendar. Like blocking your calendar out is something I'm trying to do this year, and it's really made a difference. So
Oh, I
yeah.
bet. It's a big one. It's a big one. If you don't plan for it, something else steals the time away. I mean,
Oh,
there's
100
so much. We
every
have a
time.
we have a huge to-do list all the time, and every time you tick off 1 or 2, you add about 10. So,
Mhm.
it's just always good. There's never this utopian finish line where you're done the list and you can now become the artist. Like
Yep.
we have to in tandem do the things. You brought up goals, and I just want to stick on this for a second and
Mhm.
talk about the difference between values and goals. How would you
Yeah.
explain that to someone?
So that's funny you said that because I
Mhm.
don't like goals at
I
all.
mean
And I had to be honest with myself and see if me focusing on values was just a way of getting out of doing goals.
Interesting.
Yeah, I had to really think that through and be honest because I don't like goals, and I think it's because I don't like failure, and
Mm.
that's a big one for me. Is I like to win. I'd like no, I don't have to be like winner or the best or things like that, but I want things to be right. I want things to be good, and I don't like failing.
Mhm.
So whenever my wife asks if we're still renewing that gym membership that I rarely go to, and she's just asking because we're paying for it. She's not trying to be mean,
That's me.
but but it feels like a stab in the back. It really does. And that's just because I know that I'm failing at that, and it
Oh,
hurts.
yeah.
I think they can be similar and they can be one and the same and they can be different all at the same time.
Mhm.
So you can make a value a goal.
Mhm.
And so you can, if you're like, I want to spend my family is a value and I want to spend more time with my family, you can make that a goal. You can make a smart goal out of it if you really wanted to. And it's like, I'm going to spend 30 minutes every night, intentional time with my family, and just put that and like track it, see how you're doing, make it happen. And it's a
Mhm.
goal accomplished or not accomplished.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's a goal that's a value to you. So it works. Another thing that I've been doing with values this year is more reflective and not so much future thinking, but reflective to see how I'm doing on a regular basis. And in a way, it forces me to be more mindful of it every day.
Mhm.
But I've been tracking tasks. So I don't call them goals. I call them tasks. And I've lost here's my old version of it's just a chart I wrote
Oh,
out.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm going through different versions of like how I want to do it.
Mhm.
And so it's just things that I would like that I should or want to do throughout the day. And it's
Mhm.
just like avoiding social media, blocking my work, going for a walk or exercise, drinking enough water, um, reading, writing, or posting. Um, so do something in that sphere. So
Mhm.
just different things. Cleaning up the basement. Read, yeah, um, praying, reading Bible. I got all kinds of things on here, and I don't have to do them all. It is not a to-do list. It
Okay,
is just
good.
things that I would like to implement that
Yeah.
I do enjoy and I would like to do more of, but I
Mhm.
don't have to feel bad if I don't do them. And
Mhm.
so I keep track of that, and then I have a comment section where I comment like, how did that go and why?
Yeah.
And then I ask on top of that, how did I bring value to somebody else today, and where did I receive value? And I
Mm.
ask those questions. And so it's not a goal, it's just reflective of are my days actually being intentional? Are they actually being
I love
filled
that.
with value one way or another, one
Yes.
direction or another?
Yeah. I love that. There are a couple things I just wanna, like, highlight because you said some really amazing things. So, for some people, they might go, "Oh, if I schedule 30 minutes with my family, that feels forced or that feels," but guess what? If you don't schedule it, it probably won't happen.
Nope.
So, I would just say, consider that.
Right.
Um,
But just like,
yeah.
things like eat around the table together. Make sure your
Yes.
phones aren't at the dinner table. And
Yes.
that's not overly forced. That just creates an environment to be together.
Yep. Friends
Yeah.
of ours, because they have teenage kids and they're always out and about and stuff, they started having lunches together because
Oh.
no one maybe was around. They weren't all around at supper time. So, like, just little things like that, right? It makes the difference. And I
Mhm,
love that you brought up reflection.
mhm,
I'm going to speak about my experience for a second. So I'm one that really wants to bring calm and peace to my life. And so anything that is attached to that would be like a couple tasks on how to do that, right?
mhm.
But I get overwhelmed and like stress from adding more tasks. So this is the circle that I am
Back on
stuck
you.
in. And when you
Oh,
brought up the gym, I'm like, yep, haven't
no.
worked out. Yep, nope,
Mhm.
all the things. So, what would you say to someone like me about the values conversation that might bring some ease to this
Mhm.
instead of a heavy to-do list thing that I'm trying to turn it into in my head?
Right, yeah, it's not a to-do list, like, it's you can make it well, I mean, you're the prime example, right, of
Mhm.
turning a value into just a to-do list,
Yes.
and it's
Yep.
about then the list and not the value. Uh, so
Ooh, you're good.
it's
Ooh,
right.
goosebumps. Nice.
Right, and
Yes.
so making it about the value, like where in your list have you created that uh, that would generate the value? Where are you finding that value in your
Mhm.
list? And maybe you're not doing the things, maybe you're not thinking about the things in the right way or with the right attitude or
Nice.
motivation.
Mhm.
Could be part of it. So I
Because
almost
I
feel like I'm a
yeah.
therapist now. That's
You are actually, and I'm welcoming it because 'cause I'm like, "Right, I'm making the values into a list, and that's not the point. This is interesting because in theory, I get it. I'm like, "Values, I
Mhm,
love it. I'm totally in, and how do I, as someone like this,
mhm,
type A, implement it?" And you just made so much sense for me in that. So, can you give some examples of values? Because I know there's gonna be people that go, "I don't know what my values are. I don't even know what values are."
right.
What would you've listed a few here, but can you just, like, give us
Yeah.
the
I
yeah.
would Google a list.
Ooh.
Just,
Mhm.
if we have this, we do foster care from time to time. We have a on our fridge is a magnet that the agency gave us, I guess, that's just a bunch of encouraging phrases.
Mm.
And sometimes, like you might have heard the idea that you should give praises 10 times as much as you give correction.
Yes.
And I struggle with that a lot. So
Mm.
sometimes I just glance over at the list on the fridge and be like, "Ah, you were very kind to your sibling today. Good job." And just, like, and
Yay!
it's not that it's not true, but sometimes you need something to generate
You
your
you do,
ideas.
you
So
do.
yeah, I'd Google a list, but mine I've I did the same thing. I actually went through the process. Like, let me just take a bunch of values and prioritize them and see where, start putting them against each other and see where they fall. And
Mhm.
it was really hard, and it was very eye opening at the same time that stuff that I would assumed was a really big deal for me,
Mhm.
um, may fall down the list,
Interesting.
like fun, recreation. I like having fun. I will
Mhm.
do recreation with anybody, if they want me to, but it just fell down the list. It wasn't something that
Interesting.
was high for me. There are other things, my faith, my family, peace,
Mhm.
patience, and community, volunteerism, like
Interesting.
those things are the stuff that, like, that's what I wanna be about. And that's
Mm.
the stuff that rises to the top. But my wife, one of her things, I talk about this in speech, is integrity. And that's not something that
Mhm.
would come to mind for me, but boy, is it a number one for her. And it's not that
So
I don't
neat.
care about it, but we all have our top 5.
Mhm, mhm. I love that you brought up the relationship values in relationship because
Mhm.
just like we all can have different and the trendy thing was love language. What's your love
Yes.
language? And this is also equally important. It's like, what are your values? Because, I want to make sure that I'm supporting my partner in his values
Mhm.
and he's supporting me in mine. And so I love that you brought up your wife today, but also
Mhm.
she's in your TED Talk, which is
Yeah.
so fabulous. I
Yeah.
love this.
I had more stories that actually cut out. So
I bet you did. I bet you did. Brené Brown's famous for saying like, "Okay, write your speech and then cut it in half and then
yeah.
cut that in half and then cut that in half again."
Yes.
It's
That's
like, oh
Yeah,
no.
some people, because it's an 8 TED is an 18-minute speech,
Yeah.
often, most of the times 18 minutes, and, some people are like, "How could you even think to talk for 18?" I was like, "I coulda gone for an hour." Cut Bringing
No.
it back to 18 minutes was the struggle.
That
So,
is the thing. It's like you can talk for an hour. It's easy because you don't have to finesse those ideas and really choose all the words. You can just well, I shouldn't say easy. For some people, that would be a nightmare to
right,
have to talk for an hour.
right.
Um, But the 18 minutes, and even I'm part of the TED Talks here in Victoria, and it's 10 to 12. So
Yeah,
it's even more like it really depends on your event. So
right.
narrowing it down to the time limit, my goodness, the pressure's
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
The pressure's on. Oh my goodness. So I imagine, well, let's just go to your TED Talk for a second. Just thinking about the timing of this,
Mhm.
I imagine your background in Toastmasters really prepared you for having to speak under a time limit.
Yes, so the time limit for sure,
Yeah.
was easy. Most of the speeches in Toastmasters are 5 minutes anyway. They've broadened their, program now, so there's a lot of variety than more variety than I think there used to be. And,
Mm.
but yeah, everything is always timed, so timing
Mhm.
wasn't an issue. I knew exactly how long I would go. I thought it was gonna be 16 and a half. It ended up being 15 something, um,
Perfect.
you're always when you're on stage, sometimes it runs out a little faster than you
I
think
was
it
just
will.
gonna ask, what happens when you stand on the big red dot? Does it slow down and speed up all at once? What is going on there when you
Yeah,
finally stand there?
yeah, right, and it's the red and ours was fluffy, so that was distracting. It it was a little fluffy carpet. It had some grit to it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Um, so that was but the lights, you know,
Yeah.
the people, everybody's looking at you, you know this is your moment. That was the biggest thing, the
Yeah.
difference, I would say, for the TEDx versus anything else I've done, is the
Mhm.
fact that this is a one-shot deal basically, and
Right.
it's being recorded for the entire world to see on Ted's platform. Like, this isn't a
Right.
video that they just emailed to me, they put it up on their own, and what happens is what happens. Now
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
there is an opportunity, at least with ours, that where they could edit and, you know, if they needed to, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, that's a lot of pressure right at the beginning. Now,
Yeah.
once you get going, and this is what I recommend to people, as far as like preparing speeches, is to have a really solid opening and closing, both. And the biggest
Mhm.
reason why you would, maybe I should be on the side of the screen. The biggest reason why you should have a solid opening is to get over that initial stage fright, that initial bright lights, camera on, and if you at least can say those first few sentences just completely naturally without even having to think about it, you're going to get rolling and things are going to be a lot
Mhm.
easier for you.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, I've focused on that a lot. I don't know if anybody else can, but I can see in the speech where I get a little stuck in my own brain, and it wasn't at the beginning. It comes a little
Ah.
bit later,
Oh,
and
we always see our own
oh
own
yeah,
so clearly, and we present them to others, and they go, "What are you talking
I don't even know
about?
what you're
What?
talking about.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't hear
Mhm.
that. What?"
Mhm.
Wow, 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 wow. This is a lot like singing. I always say when I do a gig or when I coach others about doing gigs, I said, "Put your easy songs first." Like you I know
Wow.
you wanna show stop, but, like, just allow yourself a song to just get
Yes.
into
See
it,
how
and
it
if you're
feels.
Yes!
Uh,
And it's okay if you're not fully there until, like, the 2nd chorus. It's okay because you'll
mhm.
eventually show up. Your body will show up before your mind shows up, but you'll eventually get there, right?
Yes.
So I love that
Yeah.
you brought that up. Oh, so good. Um, your TED Talk, I just wanna stick on this for a minute. You have a really neat story about realizing that once it was done, there was a whole other world that opened up, and TED wasn't the be all end all bucket list done. Right?
Yeah.
Can you talk
Right.
about that a little bit?
It's how does it feel right when it's done? You
Mhm.
know, so there was 2 parts of that, right when I was finished and the event was over and when the video was published. So there's like two little marks there.
Mhm.
And when it was finished, was chaotic. We had foster kids at the time, and we were waiting to see if my event would finish, you know, in time for dinner with them, like how long that would go. And it was like 6:30. It was pushing 7 o'clock, and we were like, "All right, like, let's just go out." She's like, "Wherever this is your big day, wherever you want to go eat." And I was like, "I want some fried chicken." So we
Nice.
go to uh, Bojangles, and they're closed. We go to Cracker Barrel, and they have a wait for like an hour. Or actually, they just told us no. They were like, "We don't have the staff. We can't do it." And then we go to another one, and it's closed. And we drove for an hour to find.
Oh, no.
So like my big event, and I just walked out, and I'm feeling so good, and it was just an hour
Oh.
of frustration. So life, like it
So
has a
make a reservation for those watching.
absolutely plan to celebrate that night because it's worth it. I didn't do that.
Oh,
But the day
no.
after, like, I felt great. I felt really, really good. Like, I was proud to have done it. Um,
Mhm.
but but the organizer, she's done one before, and we had a coach and a mentor that were walking with us through the process as well. And they told us, what do you want to do with this video? Like, what
Mhm.
is the next thing you want to do with it?
Mhm.
Like, this isn't the end. This is just the beginning of what could happen.
Right,
And that was heavy on me, and
right.
it was something that uh it just caused me to think for a while, like, how, what do I want to do with this? Like, are there other people that want to hear this message? Could I finesse it into a workshop of some kind? And I've been working on that, because
That's
that's
cool.
something I wouldn't have done years ago, because I'm just, I don't know, I'm lazy or something. But that's something I've been intentional
Aw.
about since then, is what can I do with this message, and how can I
Yeah.
incorporate it?
Yeah, and you have a website where you are
Mhm,
a speaker and people can hire you to come speak. So I feel like you are, whether it's this particular message or not, you're still using your voice
mhm,
to spread good, right?
right.
And I think, is there a next bucket list for you in terms of a speaking gig? Is there anything, for lack of a better term, above TED that's like the next level for people to go to?
I guess there could be. I
Yeah,
don't have, like, a single event, uh,
got it.
in mind, but I
Mhm,
do have stages of success that
mhm,
I'm chasing.
mhm.
So many bookings, so much amount, and
Yep.
getting compensated, fairly compensated for the time and effort.
Mhm,
I don't know the other side of it, the event. I should ask my wife because she was in events. The other side of it, like, if people feel, they should feel like it's a message that's strongly given and motivating, is worth compensating for, and
mm,
that's something that I have to
mhm.
tell myself too. That, like,
Yes.
this is time and energy and effort and life experiences that I'm having to concentrate and work on into giving one presentation for, and that's worth supporting.
Mhm,
And I've been to places where I would put money down because I love the message so much that was given, that it's changed me. So
mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
that's the direction I'm heading.
Yeah, I totally hear you on that, and that's common for when something comes easy to us, we're resistant to welcome the compensation.
Yeah, yeah.
In a way, I think that's a normal thing, but
Singers would do that, right? I mean, I'll
yeah,
sing for like, yeah, put me in
yes.
front of a mic.
Yeah, yeah, but I think it's so important if it's that thing that comes so naturally to you and you're so passionate about, you should be compensated for it
Yeah,
because you're doing something that someone else couldn't do. So,
yeah.
it's just a matter of, I wonder, is that a value of yours? It's
Is
like, yeah, okay, talk to me about
Well,
that.
it's bringing value. So,
Yeah.
getting compensated isn't a value. It's more like, I feel like I'm doing it for, the right reasons. That my intention is to motivate people,
Mhm,
to to bring people into a state of doing good in the world. That's really
mhm,
what I'm all about. Like, whatever form that shows up, it could be in family, or it could be in a religious setting, or it could be business,
mhm.
but there are opportunities to do good, and I want to motivate people into doing that. So that's what is the value that is behind it all, is to make
Oh,
that happen. And it's so satisfying. Like, when you do something that touches your values, it really is just satisfying. Like, when someone comes up behind, or has messaged me, or saw the video or something like that, it's like, you really made me think, and I'm going to change something that
mhm,
I'm doing because of what you said. Like, boy, that it really does. It just it that makes it makes it all worth it.
mhm, mhm. excuse me. I wonder if you could talk about the difference between, in our last few minutes, a life without values guiding the direction and a life with values
Mhm.
guiding the direction. Because
Yeah,
some people might find values, I've heard it before, blah, blah, blah. No, let's
yeah,
just really unpack it here. And you did that so brilliantly in your TED talk, but for our last few minutes, what would you say?
right. Yeah, it's, values drive what you do, whether you even know it or not. So
Mhm.
that it doesn't always have to be something that you have to intentionally think about to make it happen. Like sometimes it's just so ingrained into you that's what drives your life. So if if health food is a big deal to you, you're going to buy the organic uh, groceries and you're going to go to the
Mhm.
more natural restaurants. If community supporting the local community, I said this before, we have a corner in our, I'm sure everybody does because there's coffee shops everywhere now, but there's a corner of our area where there's about four coffee shops right on top of each other,
Wow.
and some are like international chains and a couple are local coffee shops. And
Mhm.
hands down, I'm going to the local coffee shop every time just because I value that. And
Community. Yes.
it's probably going to be better coffee too. But I value that. So and I don't even really have to think about it. Like it's not like
Mhm.
I want to go support the community today. What can I do? I can go to like I don't come out of that direction. It's just something that happens because that
Right.
value is driving me
Got it.
into action. Uh,
Got it.
uh, but then there's the case where life takes over, and a
Mhm.
life
Mhm.
without intentionality or thinking about it just turns into busyness and, like I said earlier, autopilot. And
Mhm.
it's like it feels like I'm driving a minivan and all my values are in the back watching a movie or something. Like they're just back there, and I'm just cruising through life and nothing's happening. And
Mhm.
I feel like so many people live like that, and it
Mhm.
just their life happens, but what
Yes.
really happened? Uh,
Right. Right.
yeah,
What
and
was memorable about it?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the difference in, unfortunately, we've all been to funerals, and I've been to a
Mhm.
few lately, and I there's a stark difference between some how funerals go sometimes.
Mhm.
And where people just can't say enough about the person and the stories keep coming,
Mhm.
and it's just a celebration of life, to use that phrase. uh that's somebody who had values, who was living
Yes.
out their life the way that they wanted it to be lived out,
Mhm.
and not somebody that just let time pass,
Yes.
and didn't make anything out of their life. And I would prefer the former.
Yeah, and it's taking back choice because we can all defer to autopilot, that's how our brains are wired, but when we just take a step back and go, "Okay, I'm not feeling great in my life," right? And usually when you're not living according to your values, you feel like lack of energy,
Yeah.
grouchy, like it's very obvious that something's off, right?
Mhm.
So when we can look at that and go, okay, so I've been, no shame or guilt. I've been living in autopilot and
Mhm.
not really choosing. And so I love that you've presented this, values conversation and made it so accessible. Like even to me, and I
Mhm.
joked about being a type A and it's a to-do list. I totally understand it, and I
Yeah.
totally see when sometimes you live values unconsciously as well, and it's a good
Yeah.
thing, and it's working, and your
Right.
life's working, and you're busier than ever, but you have more energy than ever, and you're
Yeah.
smiling, and okay, great.
Values are mutually beneficial.
Yes.
It's something that you care about, but when we talk about it just naturally, it's
Yeah.
rarely a selfish thing. When
Mhm.
the values that you choose and the values that you would think of and pick from, uh,
Mhm.
almost never are just going to be purely selfish.
No.
I mean, I guess it's possible that somebody would think that direction, but for the most part, when you just think about like what makes my life mean something,
Mhm.
it's not going to be get it all that you can get, and like that's your value is to just get everything you can get. Like
No.
I don't see that being a
Sure.
thing, and it doesn't bring you satisfaction. So actually,
No.
like you said, paying attention to your values is something that makes you feel good and brings value, brings worthwhile time and effort and energy to other people.
Oh, absolutely. And even things like, I value a healthy body.
Mhm.
That's not selfish because you're
Mm-mm.
gonna show up better for other people and you're gonna possibly live longer. So
100%.
good for you. That's a actual, it's good for the community for you to be healthy. So we can always just, use a different lens and see values from, yeah, it's a great conversation. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jared. I can't believe we're out of time. Like we have 1 minute left and it
Ah,
makes me sad, but I appreciate your time, and I wanna make sure that everybody that's actually your website there. Do, do,
yeah,
do, do, go back,
boom.
jaredthroneberry.com, and that they can find out everything about you there, or would
Mhm.
you have some
Yeah.
socials to plug
No, that's
here?
great.
No, that's everything?
LinkedIn is another good place. I
Okay.
have,
Yeah.
I'm on a lot of them. So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, appreciate your time, and I will let you off the hook. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm gonna close out the show.
Appreciate it so much. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having this opportunity.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jared. Oh, don't you just love it? I love it. It's so fun, and I get to talk to people, and this is what I do. This is one of my values, having deep conversation that matters. I also like simple conversation, and I also like to have a good time and laugh and fun and make jokes, but it's the deep conversation that lights me up, as you might imagine, as someone that has a podcast. So, thank you for joining us today. And the video, as always, lives on YouTube. So go check it out afterwards. You can find out more about the show. Probably, yeah, you can go to our website. Why not? Voxsana.co. We are on Instagram. I've been saying this for months and months and months, and I finally got it. I finally got it. So hopefully it's working. So add me there and we can connect. So at Voxsana Voice. And Facebook at foxana.co. You can see my branding is not succinct, but that was my fault. So Voxana Voice, foxana.co. And until next time, we have another show here in February. So stick around and more exciting schedules coming up soon. Until next time, I hope you have the very best voice journey. I hope that there was a nugget that you could take away from today's talk, and then it makes all the difference to you because yeah, your voice matters, and I don't mean that in a cheesy after school special way. I actually mean that truthfully. It's going to make the difference of you living out loud, living your values, sharing ideas that are worth spreading, singing songs that are meaningful to people, whatever it is. So